And so when Kunta meets his Adiola, she's still raw. She's still in Africa. She has not been watered down by systematic oppression. She's still in the village's very original way of thinking. She's unedited, unadulterated content that you haven't even put on YouTube yet with sound effects and clips to make it nice and listenable too. She's raw data. So because she's raw data, when she sees Kunta, she's like, baby, come home. Don't you see who I am? And this dude is like, yeah, she's feisty, man. She got fangs. She's like a vampire. She just wants to bite everybody. She's always like warring, and she's always like prayer. She's always crying and like praying and groveling and snot and trying to come out of her. She just doesn't want to take it, settle. God, well, you're about to turn 40, girl. And Adiola is like, but this is Africa. What have they done to you over there? Classical conditioning.
Do it, 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 yeah, 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 do it.
After 3 months of being angry, huffing and puffing, not even calling you, not even visiting you in prison, you then get the prison warden. There's somebody here to see you. And you're like, who is it? And it's your wife. She comes there and she's like, I was upset. How you doing? How you holding up? I brought you bananas and peaches, something to read. I brought you this and that. And she visits you much to your surprise. And she's still wearing her wedding ring. It's like, but why did you do that? And she tries to talk to you through it. Why? Why do you keep disappointing? Why did you end up in prison? Now I must just wait for you to have children. And then he tells you that you don't have to wait, because we've got conjugal visits here in this prison. We can still try for a baby. I will be out in just a few years, so we'll raise the baby together. And then she actually abides by that. Every time she's ovulating, you have a meeting of that nature, and you meet, and she has a baby. Throughout the pregnancy, she comes, visits you, touches the belly, happy, I'm about to have a child, but you get my point. And throughout your term, let's say you have been given a 10-year sentence, she keeps coming every single year, multiple times a month. Brings the baby when it's been newly born, brings the second born when it's been newly born. And so when the firstborn child turns 8, he finally gets out of prison. And you live the rest of your life, the next coming 30 years, joyful, merry, and you start a business or something together. Is that not the kind of woman that you would imagine has been given you by God? Is not that the kind of woman that when then she enters into heaven, Christ will say, when I was hungry, you brought me food. When I was naked, you brought me clothes. When I was thirsty, you brought me drink. And when I was in prison and when I was sick, you visited me. And you also brought my kids to visit me. When then you get a woman like that who visits you when you're in prison, even though you were irresponsible to find yourself there in the first place. You were supposed to serve God. Why did you fall away? Why did you do ABC? Now look at me. I have to wait all of these years of my childbearing years, and I can't even fall pregnant. I can't have the babies that we planned to have. And even though she's upset, you end up having the babies anyway. And after a season, you end up being together, raising kids. And this time around, because of the faithfulness of God that you saw in her, you are that much more pious. You are that much holier. You are that much better as a man, because this woman stuck by your side. She was ride or die. Well, there are a whole bunch of black women on the internet that are busy visiting men that are in prison, that were not supposed to go to prison. And even though they're upset and they want to walk away and they want to door slam them, they keep on coming literally while you are being freed, while you are serving your time for the stupid crimes you committed. I will have your children. We will raise them. I will bring them over to see you. Literally a woman that's prepared to work on it with you. Stick by your side so that eventually when you break through and you're once and for all out of the darkness, you're together. You're still together. You never separated. She was flashing her wedding ring to everybody while you were inside doing time. She never took it off. She never let another man court her, pursue her. Visiting you in prison, literally having babies with a man that's in jail. What man in their right mind would tell that girl on the day that she visits him on some, what have you done? Why are you in prison again? Why are you doing this to us? Then tells her, whatever, man, I can't stay off the streets. I can't, you knew that you wanted all that money. I was busy trying to get money for us. That's why I found, so you need to stop trying to change me. Hey there, welcome to part 3. Enjoy. You meet Samantha. She gets watered down, filed down too. And the two of them can't even see their own faces in the mirror anymore. They look therein and it's dim. The crystal clarity of the way they saw themselves when they were back home in the motherland is just gone. It's just gone. They can't recognize their own faces in the mirror. And so they subjugate the loves of their lives to the tyranny, frankly, of their apathy. Like the feelings are not gone. Satan can't take those away. They've never felt this way. They've never loved so deeply. They've never been this enamored. But it's just too much work. It's too much of us driving this thing, man. Besides, I don't want any trouble. What do you mean you don't want any trouble? Slavery has been abolished. There is no longer any trouble to be endured. If you go back home, if you fly to your love, it's over now. You can fly, run, get out of the cage, little birdie, get out. And the birdie is like, you know what, but this is a comfortable cage. It's a nice little 4x4 establishment and I know it. So now Adiola has to just accept that I can't get Kunta back. I must just sit here and, I guess, in and of myself, marry someone that is not quite Kunta. I guess I'll get, old. At least I'll have my children. At least I'll have my man. But it's not Kunta. So you subject a woman that would have been prepared to do whatever it takes to help you recover from your sickness, from your conditioning. You let her end up with someone that they don't love that much. But, I mean, what am I going to do? Let my years just fly by my nose? Let them get wasted? So I guess I'll marry and I'll have children. But frankly, Kunta, you were the one. And I was reconciled to you. I found you again. But this time you were all watered down and conditioned. You don't fight anymore. You're no longer revolutionary. The original OG of you got his toes cut off for trying to run back to me. But you with these pants underneath your bum and this laziness and this lethargy, that's sitting around in a small little contained environment when you have entire fields in your name. And you're sitting it out. It's disgusting to look at. Like if you're Adiola and you were to see the watered down version of Kunta, it's like, what have they done to you? You are literally a figment of who you used to be. An extract. You are no longer the fire that I knew once. So you even turn off this woman that once upon a time could see no fault in you, no error in your ways at all. And now all she sees is this fallen boy that is walking around in a 4x4 cell when he owned entire fields. And he doesn't even want to come back home to see what belongs to him. He doesn't want to come back home with me. It's like, my goodness, we wasted all that love that we shared on your complacency. It is called classical conditioning. And it has taught our men to salivate even when there is no reward or punishment anymore. There's no longer threat of punishment if they go for who they want. If they marry the woman that they want. If they do what they want, no longer are they facing recompense or punishment or retaliation or retribution. Like nothing. No longer are they facing any risk of getting hurt. They can run and nobody's going to stop them. But they've been trained to stay in their cells, and so we essentially are still very much within systematic oppression. As black people, our mindsets. I mean, if only you just look at the black community, it is littered with all of these baby mamas, baby daddies, unmarried couples, and those that are married, the love therein is not even as poignant as it could have been. Go and ask any black man that's married today or black woman. Not all of them, of course, will testify to this, but a great chunk of them will tell you that there was some girl in the past or some guy in the past that they loved a lot more than they do their wives, and they wonder to this day why they're not married to that girl or guy. It's that mentality, it is that slave mentality that has kept them there. And the thing about women that are anointed by God, that are sent by the Most High, they are godly, right? And the devil knows what their core mission is. They know that they are supposed to baptize as John the Baptist to Jesus. They're supposed to usher in a person into a ministry that is going to save the world, basically. So that kind of a job, of course, the devil is trying to prevent it, hey? He doesn't want his kingdom laid waste. He doesn't want people getting one for Jesus, people being rescued from the flames of hell. Satan is not about that business. He doesn't care a single iota for people. So when Kunta meets Adiola, and Adiola knows her purpose, and she knows that, goodness, you're Kunta, hey, baby. And initially, Kunta might respond with, hey, because what in the world do you do when you see a person that you're just enamored with, guys? You smile, it's like, yo, Kunta feels it like this at last. His bone on my bone and flesh on my flesh is my Eve. But as soon as it starts, it ends. The guy's like, whoa, this is it. Like, you smile, you see her, and she sees you, and the sparks fly. Do you understand? And then somewhere along the way, the guy, it's always the guy, and these women can testify, they can affirm what I'm saying. All of a sudden, then the guy is like, I don't know, whatever, look, okay, cool. Like, literally, you go from being adored ravenously, like, just fervently by a man, and then next thing, he just goes cold. What does that in a person to make them do so 180? Go so 180. When a man loves a woman, nothing should be able to keep him away, but something is keeping them away. So therefore, if it's not your own default settings, what is it? It's demons. They just get overwhelmed by demons. that draw them away from the woman, leaving her babnat. Babnat. In my culture, when a person pours water on you, like if you've been like running for like, if at all like you're busy talking and you're fervent and you're on fire, and then somebody just comes and like squelches your conversation on some speed to the hand, they say that you've been drenched with water, like somebody has poured water on you, and something that is like flattened like a tire is called papnat. Yeah, like these guys leave you all a papnat, like papnat, just flat tire on the floor, water doused with it, dripping, eyelashes, even drips of water coming down. You go from dancing, walking up and down these streets like you've arrived, like you're a ramp model. Do you understand? The way your stride is so elegant because this man is in your life and there's nothing else that you can think about. You feel like a woman, you feel covered. Oh my goodness, like what? And then in literally like overnight, guys, 24 hours is too long. 12 is enough. Just cold. How do you love a woman so much? Very obviously so. And just not be there tomorrow? How do you just let go of so much love? Did you just get switched off? No. The devil is the one that prospers to make a person ignore that much love. I mean, that stuff is satanic. It has to be. I can't ignore it. It's impossible. Like, I have a history of a lot of pride. And so whenever a guy would pass me shade prior to me coming to Christ, I'd be like, whatever, go. I always used to say that Sam Smith song was made for me. I'm way too good at goodbye. I was that girl on some bye, bye, boy, bye. That was me. For me to be chilling at the threshing floor of a man like this, men, for me to be this, like literally, humility, for me to walk in it that way to a point where I can no longer be like, boy, bye. I prided myself in being an INFJ personality type. Myers-Briggs INFJ test, you know it? I am an INFJ. So I'm that girl about that door slam. I know how to slam a door on a person. And then that was laid to waste. And I came to Christ, and that was laid to waste. I've been wanting to door slam. There was one man that I went through this with already, and then another one came into my life recently. After recovering from the shock and the horror of the one that went and married another woman, I met another one and I was like, this is it, finally. And this time this one was not lying, it was just denying Christ. Like the first one was just a flagrant, not so much actually, there was a little bit of a profession of Jesus, but he was obviously lost. This next one was kind of obviously found, in my eyes anyway. And he did the same thing. And I tried to door slam. And just like the first time, I'm not being allowed to move on. And I'm like, but God, come on though, right? Like, come on, I'm human, you know? I've got a heart and I feel and stuff. I don't want to be loving somebody that does not love me. I don't want to be hopeful that a man is going to come home that's just not going to come home. Come on, God. On top of that, I'm a middle-aged woman now. Look at me, I'm old, Dad. I'm old now. Let me go, please. Like, just take these feelings away. I don't want to love a man that doesn't love me. And the feelings are just not going away. And the Lord keeps on using the word smitten. That is the word. That is the word that the Lord uses to describe the way that this guy feels about me. Smitten. How are you smitten with a woman that you have shut out of your life? You're ignoring her altogether. You won't even respond appropriately to her when she talks. How are you smitten? Like, how's that word even appropriately applied here? Somebody give me a concordance, a dictionary, something, so I can re-look up the word smitten, because last time I checked, it was just like literally butterflies in the tummy, unable to sleep, can't walk, can't talk. You're motivated to like lift some weights, even though you've let yourself go flabby for a minute. That's a man that is smitten with a woman. Will do anything. Lift her in the sky. Make out of her like juggling balls the way that he just can't like stop playing around with. Like, that is a smitten man. How is a man like that just sitting around in whatever little corner that is dark and dingy that he is sitting in, ignoring all that love that I am doing everything in my power to suppress, to ignore, to disregard, throw to the corner and door slam it? How's he smitten? Father, I mean, really, like, what's it gonna do for me to know that he's smitten? Because I want to be unsmitten. I want to be okay again. Let me move on. I mean, let me go get married to whoever will be my husband if this guy's not the one. How in the world do you go and love me so much and then not anymore? Father, come on, I'm only human. Me robot. I don't want to be no robot. Me, I don't want to be no yo-yo. I don't want to be no yo-yo. Jesus, so come on, free me from this bullet. What's what is the end of bullet? It won't come in my heart and break it. That's all this man is doing. Oh. Smitten. Okay, fine. But me, I don't go want to be stricken by bullet over and over again. No. What kind of person is this? Why is he not responding to his call if at all he has a call? Are you not powerful enough, Father, to rescue this guy from dinginess? And so I'm here again, talking about these random buffoons, because it appears they're littered across the community of black women. Littered. I'm not the only one. I got sisters, and they keep on getting recommended to me on YouTube. Because when I find one, I find 20. Hey? When I find one, I find 20,000. We're all in this joint praying in concert for men who are smitten with us that nonetheless don't care to come for us. We are a collective of adiolas. And these men are intentionally trying to marry Samantha. I actually had one that did. The pain. I've never cried so much, guys. I've never mourned a man that was alive in my life until this guy. I worked so hard. I groveled. I prayed. I laid prostrate before the throne of grace. And I was like, Father, rescue my man. Because I was so convinced he was my husband. And I was made to feel stupid. I was made to feel like I gave false prophecy. I was made to feel like what I saw was unreal. Until I met a whole bunch of women that are like me. Back when I was busy dealing with the guy that I like to call Jagalas. He married another woman. And I was like, Father, I'm not going to go through that again. Please. I wanted to move on from Jagalas as well so much. And the feelings just stayed in my heart. I was like, Father, I don't want to keep doing this. This is a second volume 2.0. I can't. I don't want to war. I don't want to fight for another man, God. I don't want to grovel. I don't want to say, fine, whatever, move on if you want to move on. I'm beautiful. Somebody else will love me, and try to move on and then get lambasted by an inability to do so, like being pulled back in, and my heart constantly being made fervent, dreaming about him constantly, hearing that he's smitten, also seeing him pulling the middle finger to me every time I do these videos. Middle finger, like resistance, rebellion from here to Tempaka too. Like, how is such an unsavory, ungodly, unsanctified man my husband when I am so godly? And why is my peaceable and quiet spirit not reaching him? These curses be like. They're about their business. He is Kunta in the US, and I'm Adiola that never left Africa. And women are Adiola that never left Africa. While their men are the tenement of Kunta that has been watered down. They are deliberately going with women that are easier to be with. They don't fight, they don't war. They're not warriors, spiritual warriors. They're not fighters, they're not prayers. They are not into fasting, they're not into digging in deep into the trenches and getting stuff out. Bahotla, that means to scrub, man. Ish. In black culture, my language, Hotla is to scrub. We scrub. You know the way that you would like scrub a dog that's been in the mud? Like, yeah, man, it's hotla. Or like, what is this, feet that have got calluses on them? How you would grab that pumice stone and just like, yeah. That's what godly women do. We scrub, we clean, guys, we pray. We not only pray, but we fast. That level of piety to a man that, just last week he was fornicating. Just day before yesterday he was flirting with a colleague. Just 10 days ago he was doing a drug deal, even though he's trying to, like, how in the world is my man looking so much like the world? And you're telling me that he's my husband. So there is a lot of aggression in these men's hearts for us, because we are the tantamount of very successful young women in corporate, and they know that they're lazy. That's why they're not getting to where we're at, and so they're scared to ask us out. It's too much work. When a woman is too much work to be with, these guys are prepared to ignore their feelings for her, how strong the pull is, how much they're their only source of comfort. Literally, we are their only source of comfort, only source of love, only source of like ease of, spirit. Like when they're with us, it's like they're swinging in a hammock. They're so chill. Like they're right at home. They can just lie on a couch and not even be like nervous of the fact that we're looking at their ashy knees. That's how comfortable they are with and yet they go and they wear like tight jeans, tight socks, and a tight tie to go and be with Samantha that they cannot even entirely be themselves with. And they suppress then what it is that they feel for Adiola and what it is that they know they must do if at all they were to be with Adiola. They hurt and afflict us this way because they hope to turn us away from God. They want to water us down so we can be together. Their very strong feelings make them want us to be ungodly. They are like, oh, I love you so much, but man, if only we're just, less religious, less Christian about it. Like, if you were not so fervent, if you were not always all about that dream, vision, prophecy, vibe, checking out all this whoa, garabo, oh man, like, but I dig you though, like, feelings. Their feelings make them deliberately go out of their way to water down our walk with God so they can be comfortable to be with women they really love, but with their standards, according to their stats, on their terms. On their terms. They want to be with us on their terms, and because we are God's daughters, so consecrated, we're chilling in the throne room with Christ. We are at his feet, prostrate wherever, throwing petals of roses on the floor where Christ is walking. That's what we are doing. We are so enamored with the King. We are holding on to our boss. They then are like, hey. How consecrated we are to Christ means we're super protected. We have got armies, like, so, bodyguards, angels around us. We are covered. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who, what is this? Fear him, and he delivers them. So we are constantly encircled by lots and lots of heaven. And we are also kind of chilling in heaven, frankly. We're like hovering above there, like easily. It's like coming home after school. That's what heaven is like for us. We deal with the world. That's like going to school. And then at the end of the day, you go home, you throw off your shoes, and you just chill on the couch because you're back home from school. This earth is like school, and heaven is home. We go home every night. We go to heaven every night. Like, that's what godly women are like. We literally live in heaven, even though we're on earth. We've got heaven mindsets. Everything is heavenly. We're sowing in the kingdom of heaven. We're working. We're grinding. Hey! About our Father's business. That's what's good. And these guys are trying to tarry us away from that. They're trying to water us down. They're trying to water us down. God Almighty, have mercy on every last one of us. Please, God, like, have mercy. So because they're trying to get us to leave heaven, to basically abscond from home, run away from home in order to be with them, God is the one that fly kicks them. He fly kicks them. He literally kicks them to the curb. He handles them, ransacks them. He afflicts them with nightmares. He torments them with sorrow, lots of deep pain, angst. Whenever they're with Samantha, they can't deal. They feel hot and bothered, like they're sweating. Hey, it's all hectic, you know what I mean? They can't. They literally are struggling. They are struggling to live their day-to-day lives. Even though they want to hang with, like, literally you can walk in the mall with Samantha, hand in hand. And you will suddenly start, like, feeling all sorry for yourself because the hand that is in your palm is not Adiola's. They are trying to move on deliberately with other women. But God is not giving them rest. The wicked are like the tossing sea whose waters bring up mire and dead continually. There is no rest. Thus saith the Lord for the wicked. These men, they're currently still kind of like high-key wicked. Not even low-key. But apparently they've got these gargantuan callings. And so they're ignoring Adiola. And they're going out of their way to be with Samantha, even though it doesn't even have to be like that anymore. And they are trying to make Adiola watered down. Trying to take Adiola and give her like an American lifestyle when she's been living in Africa all her life. Trying to take the Africa out of Adiola when the chick is like wild Africa, like in its purest, most unadulterated form. What are you doing? It's better for you to go back to your roots than for Adiola to be uprooted from her space and have her Africanness halved, if you know what I mean. Analogically speaking, of course. This is not me like hating on anyone at all that was taken out of Africa. I'm using all this as analogical for that purpose only. They're trying to water us down. They're trying to water us down by hurting us so deeply, and it's not going to happen because, like I said, we live in heaven. They want us to leave our father's mansions to go and live in some squatter camp somewhere where the water like supply is not even that great. It's kind of brown and there's no flushing toilet, there's no proper electricity, there's no sanitation. But hey, you're in a bunk bed sleeping with the love of your life. No. How about you come to heaven where it's beautiful, it's lit, and we don't even need electricity like the power cuts in South Africa. The glory of God lights it up. We're glow in the dark. That's what we are. We are glow in the dark. That's what we are. You know, like those bangles you wear at concerts that glow on your wrist and all you see is the bangle and not you? That's what Adiola is like. She's a glow in the dark bracelet. The glory of God emanates through her. It lights up her ecosystem, her environment, no matter how cold her conditions might be, no matter how mean, how persecuted she might be. It doesn't matter. Because the sun is always shining. His name is Jesus. Hallelujah. So now this random, like, not Adiola, but like Kunta of the 21st century, ignores his woman. And that's why black women are getting to the age of 30, 40, maybe even 50, still single, having never been married, albeit being jams. Our men are not there. They're lazy. They don't want to work for our romances. They don't want to fight for us. They don't want to work on generational curses. They don't want to get into prayer, deep prayer. They don't want to acknowledge that women have a purpose in their lives as helper suitables. We're not supposed to just keep quiet and die like lie there, like a doormat. They don't want us to fulfill our purposes. And when we want to fight to uproot their generational curses, meaning that they actually have to enter into fasting prayer and work, guys, they then avoid us because, that's how they feel when God walks in the room. It's like, they look at us and they think we're just too intense, okay? Silly. That's them, right? They ain't feeling us, and but they're feeling us like heavy. And the sorrowful thing about that is that they're also trying to take us away from Jesus. So because we don't fall away from Christ, they didn't just let us go. When that happens, you would imagine that God would be like, oh, fine, go, move. But God is keeping us in this. Why? Because the purpose of God is to gather for himself a people in this particular era. a people for his own possession. So if these kuntas are supposed to preach, they're supposed to gather for God, a people. If they don't want to do it, they're gonna do it. Like, the mission of God cannot be thwarted or stopped, and so God continues to put the fire in our hearts in order to get to them. He uses romance to reel them in. He tells them, this is your protection, your companion for life. I'm 38, so my husband is probably a dude in his 40s. I've said this before. So with me being this age and him being that age, I am likely the last shot he has at marriage. Literally, he's at the end of his rope, and so am I. He's not going to meet another me. He's not going to meet another godly woman that's going to rock up. He's not a guy that can play with time. He's not a 22 or 25-year-old or even a 30-year-old. He is a dude that is in his 40s, likely. So I am the last bet you got, dude. But what's he trying to do? Kill me. Exactly like what happened with Katniss and Peter in the Hunger Games. You know how Peter got conditioned by the Capitol, was made to live in another place other than where it is that they were used to living together. So it's like Peter being taken to the US from Africa after the colonizers do their thing. Katniss stayed, however, among the people. Katniss stayed herself. Peter was conditioned, and once he was rescued out of the Capitol, he tried to kill Katniss. It took so much work. So much work. Like Hollywood, guys, be afraid, be very afraid, be careful. These movies, they are showing what's going on down here on the ground. In and of themselves, they don't know what they're doing. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. But they are literally prophesying or predicting what's actually going on the earth. If you go and watch the Hunger Games, I don't know if it's Mockingjay or the very last one, where Peter tries to kill Katniss, and he is on that tape perpetually for a minute. There was a season when he appears to be recovering, and then he tries to strangle Katniss again anyway. He jumps her, tries to kill her. It's like it keeps on coming back, coming back. It's demons do that. Katniss was the love of Peter's life, and vice versa. Eventually, they got married and had children and everything by the end of the last Hunger Games, right? But it took so much work in Peter. They had to uproot the training, the conditioning that they did in the Capitol. What conversion? They put him through some tests. They injected him with funny little serums, and he ended up a monster trying to kill his ally, his mate, his bestie, basically, the love of his life. But he eventually got cured. The same theme is also prevalent in the 100, where Lincoln, that man that falls in love with Victoria, he also gets conditioned using drugs or something to hate his own people and also try to kill the love of his life. But then it is eventually uprooted out of him. They have to work to get it dug out of him. There is like a whole, like, ceremony, if you want to call it that. Not a ceremony, it sounds kind of ritualistic and occultish when I say it that way, but like a service, a sermon, a deliverance situation, yeah, like deliverance, like going to church in Jeffela just so somebody's demons can get cast out, or having like your local pastor come and live with you for a week because you've got some problems, and so you go through a bit of an exorcism. It's a process, but this person has to be happy to endure it. We go to Christ and we ask him to conquer our generational curses, and then we meet men that are still riddled with sins, walking in darkness. They're still kind of lukewarm, and they are happy to like have half-hearted little devotionals with Jesus every so often, lest they should go to hell, so they're trying to avoid hell. But they're not living set apart lives. They are still involved in random criminal activity. They're always hustling in a negative way. You give me a point. All right, like whatever. Like, dude, the Bible says, Christ in Matthew 25, when I was hungry, you gave me food. When I was naked, you gave me drink. When I was hungry, you gave me food. Yeah, when I was naked, you gave me clothes. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink. When I was in prison and sick, you came to visit me. These men are in prison. These men are in some kind of a spiritual prison. Now, how would you feel as a man if your wife, when you get arrested for some random stupid thing that you did, and you go to prison and you know that your term is going to end one of these days, and your wife does not come to visit you because she's like, you ended up in prison. Dude, I'm a woman, I got needs, and I want to have children, I haven't had kids yet. So, sorry, like, I can't wait. Like, what in the world? And that prison that you went to has conjugal visits possible, in that the prison system can allow for you to have your wife come over and you make love, and then she goes home and you go home. So you basically, she doesn't even have to be high and dry all of those years that you have been sentenced to. You're gonna come out. You know you're gonna come out, and she knows you're gonna come out. But she not only does not visit you in prison, she disregards altogether that you can even have conjugal visits. She has then children outside of prison. She has children, not outside of prison, sorry, but with another man. She has kids. Like, you're still married. You haven't gotten divorced. And then she has these kids with another man outside of you, when she could have been able to even still have sexual relations with you because your prison allowed that. So she could have waited uncomfortably, but nonetheless comfortably enough to even still be made love to by you. And she doesn't wait. And while you're married, goes and has other children with another man. Such that by the time you get out of prison, the only thing that there is for you to do is to send her a letter of divorcement. Wouldn't you feel betrayed as a man? You would, right? Wouldn't anybody feel betrayed? Like, oh, you did vows, death to us part, blah, blah, all that jazz. And your life goes awry because you make some heinous, horrendous mistake. And at the first sight of your disappearance, your wife then goes on right ahead and has children with somebody else when she could have had them with you right from prison, knowing that you're going to be home soon. You were happy to repent from your ways. Why it is that you were even in prison in the first place was because you were busy walking in a dark life against the Lord. And then this woman does this to you. You'd feel betrayed, right? But then, with that being your situation, how would you feel as a man if, despite the fact that you were a rebellious random and that is why you ended up in prison, and I haven't had children and we're married? What am I supposed to do with you, guy? But even though she's angry at you at first, and on the day when you get sentenced, she's basically spitting on you on the day, and she's upset that you did that. Like, why did you have to do that? Why didn't you keep yourself out of prison? You had me to be responsible for. But then after 3 months of being angry, huffing and puffing, not even calling you, not even visiting you in prison, you then get and you get told by the prison warden, there's somebody here to see you. And you're like, who is it? And it's your wife. She comes there and she's like, I was upset. How you doing? How you holding up? I brought you bananas and peaches. I brought you something to read. I brought you this and that. And she visits you much to your surprise. And she's still wearing her wedding ring. And she's like, but why did you do that? And she tries to talk to you through it. Why? Why do you keep disappointing? Why did you end up in prison? Now I must just wait for you to have children. And then he tells you that you don't have to wait because we've got conjugal visits here in this prison. We can still try for a baby. I will be out in just a few years, so we'll raise the baby together. And then she actually abides by that. Every time she's ovulating, you have a meeting of that nature. And then you meet and she has a baby. Throughout the pregnancy, she comes, visits you, touches the belly, happy, I'm about to have a child, but you get my point. And throughout your term, let's say you have been given a 10-year sentence. She keeps coming every single year, multiple times a month. Brings the baby when it's been newly born. Brings the second born when it's been newly born. And so when the firstborn child turns 8, he finally gets out of prison. And then you live the rest of your life, the next coming 30 years, joyful, merry. And you start a business or something together. Is that not the kind of woman that you would imagine has been given you by God? Is not that the kind of woman that when then she enters into heaven, Christ will say, when I was hungry, you brought me food. When I was naked, you brought me clothes. When I was thirsty, you brought me drink. And when I was in prison and when I was sick, you visited me. And you also brought my kids to visit me. When then you get a woman like that, who visits you when you're in prison, even though you were irresponsible to find yourself there in the first place. You were supposed to serve God. Why did you fall away? Why did you do ABC? Now look at me. I have to wait all of these years of my childbearing years. And I can't even fall pregnant. I can't have the babies that we planned to have. And even though she's upset, you end up having the babies anyway. And after a season, you end up being together, raising kids. And this time around, because of the faithfulness of God that you saw in her, you are that much more pious. You are that much holier. You are that much better as a man. Because this woman stuck by your side, she was ride or die. Well, there are a whole bunch of black women on the internet that are busy visiting men that are in prison, that were not supposed to go to prison. And even though they're upset and they want to walk away and they want to door slam them, they keep on coming, bringing them bananas and peaches, and are even telling them that I will literally, while you are being freed, while you are serving your time for the stupid crimes you committed, I will have your children. We will raise them. I will bring them over to see you. Literally a woman that's prepared to work on it with you. Stick by your side so that eventually when you break through and you're once and for all out of the darkness, you're together. You're still together. You never separated. She was flashing her wedding ring to everybody while you were inside doing time. She never took it off. She never let another man court her, pursue her. You're my husband, visiting you in prison, literally having babies with a man that's in jail. And then you tell her, what man in their right mind would tell that girl on the day that she visits him on some, what have you done? Why are you in prison again? Why are you doing this to us? Then tells her, whatever, man, I can't stay off the streets. I can't, like, you knew that you wanted all that money. I was busy trying to get money for us. That's why I found, so you need to stop trying to change me. This woman has gotten out of her way. She's gotten over herself. After 3 months of rebellion, she finally came to visit you, and then you tell her to go. What man in their right mind would tell a woman that is that ride or die to leave me alone? What man in their right mind would not find an incentive in fixing their act together because a woman that doesn't have to wait for him is waiting for him? Well, if that prison analogy touched a spot somewhere, then I understand that that's exactly what godly women are presently doing. We are visiting these filthy deadbeat men in prison. They're darkened. They're involved in dark things, maybe even the occult. There's just all these things that are happening in their lives, and we're like, I don't want to be unequally yoked. This guy is busy professing Christ, but he is unsanctified. Blah blah blah, etc. And Christ is putting so much love in their heart that even though they rebelliously are sitting aside for 3 months, they eventually come back and are like, dude, we're married. Why were you so irresponsible with my heart despite being my husband? Or dude, we were engaged. I was your fiance. We had a future that we were planning. And then you just went to prison afterwards? What am I supposed to do with you? Like, it's even more extreme if it's a fiance. Imagine if it's a fiance but not even a wife. Like, she still comes and visits you and is like, dude, we were supposed to get married, and then agrees to marry you in prison. Literally. A little ceremony in prison. You marry a man that is in jail. You could just take this engagement ring, throw it away, and wait for another dude to rock up. But you're like, but we were engaged, and you just decided to go to prison, like, all of a sudden. All of a sudden. A woman that visits you in prison when she doesn't have to. She's got more options than you. What man in their right minds turns somebody away like that? That is not a default setting. That is demonic. That is literally passing up that which is great and given to you by God. That is not Percy Sledge when a man loves a woman. That is a man that is demonically possessed. And he is allowing demons to have a field day with him. Because when you have no option better than that, and you still go for anything other than, you're of course a fool. First of all, the feelings are fervent, and she's ride or die. That's what's going on in the church. And my sorrow is in the fact that these women all over the show in the Church of the Lord Jesus Christ are all having the same struggle as me, and it is a painful, sorrowful sight to observe, because how many times must we fight for men that don't want to be fought for? It's painful. I get where they're coming from. I'm there. I presently have very strong feelings for someone that I would much rather just door slam. And I'm like, I just want to move on. He doesn't deserve me so very obviously. I am a great find so very obviously. Why will the Lord just not let me door slam this guy and move on? And then I go on the internet and I find all these other women speaking this exact same thing, and I'm like, so it turns out that we have to march together. We have to pray for men, for our men. It could be all men, but I'm noticing the trend in particular among black women. Speaking about black men, the Lord has charged women to concertedly pray for prodigal sons, for men. Because they're supposed to preach, guys. They're supposed to give the gospel. They're supposed to reach people for Jesus. They're supposed to snatch souls out of the flames of hell in a way that we as women are just not anointed to do. And so because the Lord cares for souls of human beings, he is enduring us through this pain for these men, apparently with the end goal of it'll be worth it in the end. And I'm really scared, because there's one situation that I was in like this where it wasn't worth it in the end. I got shattered. I got broken. I was made bereaved. I mourned a man that was still alive. It's like he had died. The way that I was in so much pain. He got married to another woman. And I'm scared that it's just going to keep happening. They go for Samantha easily, despite Adiola being the love of their life. I am scared, out of my mind, of loving a man that's going to marry another woman again. And like I said, this time I'm 37. I'm 38. I don't want to do it, but do I have any choice? It's just so unfair and unreasonable. Like hostage taking on another level, but God knows what he's doing. Nobody can reject their call, guys. Or maybe I don't know. But I can't do the math. Everybody that's been called by God in the Bible ultimately responded. Jonah, Moses. They wanted to like not do it, but they had to, you know what I mean? So I really don't know. I'm currently fasting right now for this situation. I'm entered into a fast again because I was motivated by these women online. It is clearly a concerted fast. The last time I fasted, I was crying. I was complaining to God that I'm alone in this. One can bring down 1,000, two can bring down 10,000. Bring me somebody. And then I went on the internet and I found all these women. So even though they might not know who I am, but I know that I am praying in tandem with them. I am in agreement with them. And so 2 or 3 are this time around finally being gathered. And so this 21-day fast should achieve way more for me than the original one that I was in by myself. I am praying for the release of my channel, because that is a problem that I've got right now. But I'm also praying for the release of these men, because clearly we have to pray for them, our husbands, because I don't want to be lonely. I want my companion for life till death do us part. I want someone that's going to be here when kids move out of home. I want the guy that's going to be by my side when my best friend disappoints me, stabs me in the back, and gives me problems. I want that partnership that God set apart for human beings to have that lingers a lifetime, as opposed to just, a brevity, a season. I want a husband. I've been given a desire for one. So I don't think I've got a call for singlehood. I wouldn't desire a man so much. The Lord said a man must leave mother and father and then cleave to his wife, and the two become one flesh. I want that. I've been waiting on Christ now 11 years. And so I am officially standing in agreement with, I'm actually thinking of a couple of them in my mind right now. As I speak right now, they're popping into my mind. It's like we're all coming in agreement with each other. So therefore, exponential growth of the power of bringing down these structures. So hopefully the scales are going to be removed off the eyes of these men. But because it is a fast, it is going to be met with a lot of demonic attacks. So I guess let's brace ourselves. Let us brace ourselves. I am fasting for this very purpose, because I'm weary of loneliness. I'm weary of loving so deeply and so violently with what appears to be no reciprocity. I'm exhausted of fearing loneliness. I'm really scared of ending up alone. I've already been persecuted for 8 years, and it will be more time if my husband does not come along. I kid you not. I need companionship. I need friends, indeed. But more than anything, I need a husband, because that is what God has set apart to be a lifetime partner for us all. It's a decent and a feasible thing to want and to desire, and so I will pray for it. I will fast for it, and I will stand in agreement with my sisters. I hope you have been edified in the name of Jesus. By this message, look out for signs of classical conditioning in men. In your men, I'm here to only give this message to women, because men, I'm not supposed to preach to them, but I suspect this might be an issue as well, the opposite direction, where it is that Samantha refuses to acknowledge Bobo, but wants to be with Kunta, like the wrong guy. Just like look out for stuff like this, and then if you see it, you can join my fast along the way. You don't have to start the 21-day with me on the exact day, but when you notice this thing, join and allow these prayers to also remove the scales off your Samantha's eyes, or off your Bobo. No, Bobo, who is this? Because Adiola and Bobo are cool, because they're still in their motherland. The people here that are problem spouses are Kunta and Samantha. They marry each other when they're not supposed to be with one another, and so they just wreak organizational havoc in the kingdom of heaven. The devil doesn't want us coming together with these men because of what they promised to be one day. So it is imperative that we pray for the gathering of God's church, of his people. We must pray for it, because that's what God is doing, and so we must pray for what God is doing. I hope you've been edified, guys. I love you in the name of Christ. Cran K, 21-day fast commencing today. Please like my work, please share, please comment, please subscribe. Help us grow as a church community. Cran K, peace.